All right, let's go ahead and get started.
So I looked briefly at your email. We're going to talk about
anything we want. And I've been watching for the last hour the Apple event that's going on right now.
Oh, okay.
So every June, very beginning of June, Apple previews all of their upcoming software updates and sometimes some hardware stuff too. So we're about an hour into it. So I thought we could talk about that, especially since it's the two of you and both of you have Apple products as well. So, but if you guys have any questions, let's feel free to jump into that. And I was going to have the little Apple feed up on the TV screen, but I left my adapter at home apparently. I used it for something and forgot to put it back in my bag. So, do we have any questions?
WWDC
2015 Worldwide Developers Conference.
Was that what you're listening to?
Yeah, it's the Apple press event that they have every year. So far, they've talked about the.
So the OSX is El Capitan. Is that a new one?
Yeah, it'll come out this fall for free. Yep. But it's really not. So they're gonna have. If you've ever used, like, if you use Google Chrome for your browser, you can pin tabs. So for example, see these first 4 tabs on my screen here?
Where are you?
I'm in Google Chrome. Let's see.
Oh.
Here, just a second. Let me share this on the screen for home. So these first 4 tabs right here, see how they're tiny compared to these other 3? Yeah. They're pinned, meaning even if I close out this entire browser, it might not do it. But if it's not going to do it because I have other ones open. But typically, because I've got several windows open, it's not doing it. But typically, if you close out Google Chrome, or Firefox does this too, and I think
Google Chrome and Firefox accomplish the same thing.
That's Safari. Yeah, they just all have different nuances. And
when you say Safari, what is Safari?
It's your web browser. It's what connects you to searching.
Is Firefox part of Safari?
No, they're all separate companies.
So Firefox, Google Chrome, and Safari.
Yeah, and Internet Explorer which comes built into Windows. So those are your web browsers, and they all have slightly different features. And for whatever reason, Safari just hasn't had that pin tab feature. And so if you close out your web browser and then open it up again, those ones that are pinned will open up automatically. So like I'm here at work, I'm always checking my email. And so if I close out my calendar, I'm always updating my calendar because I use an online calendar with Google. If I just pull up my web browser, my email is going to pop up, my calendar is going to pop up, my Google Drive is going to pop up automatically. I don't have to type in their web addresses.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah, so they're always there every time I pull up my web browser. So Safari for Microsoft, for Mac now has pin tabs. Also, if you've ever, when you're searching websites and you've got a couple different ones open up and all of a sudden you hear sound blaring out of your computer and you go, where did that come from? Some websites occasionally have like videos that will automatically play. It'll show a little bar on the search bar, and it'll have a little microphone, and you click on that microphone and you can mute the sound coming from another web page. And you can also click on that and it'll take you to that web page, so you can either close it or find out what's playing and why it's playing. So that's kind of a neat little update. And they made Spotlight smarter. Spotlight is in it's that little magnifying glass on the upper right corner of your screen, Bob. You can type in like contextual sentences.
Oh, they made that smarter on what?
On the Mac. You can type in like contextual sentences. Like
right now, it's a Spotlight search, so I just put in whatever I want.
You just type in what you want, but now it's even better at it. So you can type in, when you update this in the fall, when it comes out, you would say, show me photos from my trip last October. And it'll find all of your October pictures. Wow. Because every picture has a timestamp built into it in the file itself. Obviously not like the old school timestamp when you took regular film photos. And so it'll do things like that. Or show me my email conversation with Sandy from last week. And it'll pull up our conversation from last week.
What a time saver.
Yeah, and then it's done a lot of you know how with your phone or your iPad you can use gestures to swipe away your, delete an email or things like that. It now does that on the Mac.
Why
you can use
would I
gestures.
use Spotlight versus Firefox?
The Spotlight searches your computer also, whereas Safari or Firefox or Chrome only searches the internet. So if you can't find a file on your computer, Bob, Spotlight will help you find it, whether it's a picture or a Word file or something. Mail, when you're composing new emails on the Mac, again, this will all come out in the fall, but you can have tabs. So if you want to if you're starting to send an email to someone and you think, oh, I need to send an email to this person also, and you don't want to forget, you can create a tab on the compose button and put in their email address and put in the subject just so you remember you need to send that one also. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And if a new email comes in and you want to check it, it automatically minimizes the email you're working on and pulls up the new one when you click on the new email. So they didn't do like a huge update, which I think is smart. They're really kind of refining some of the stuff that they're doing. And then some desktop dragging. And then they made it a lot faster. Just tweaking the stuff that we never see software-wise in the operating system. They've tweaked it to load apps faster. And Metal is they released it for the phone and the iPad, which allowed games and programs to work faster because it's closer to the hardware in essence. And so they brought that to the Mac now. So those are some of the things that they did. For iOS 9, Siri is supposed to be a lot smarter. Siri also got a graphical update, which really isn't that important, but it's supposed to be a lot better at reminding you things. So if you have an email or a text pulled up, you can then tell Siri, remind me about this, is all you have to say. And it'll take that text message and set it as your reminder. So if someone said, let's have dinner at 8, then it would set a reminder to that you're going to have dinner at 8 with that person. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And that's so this is iOS now, so this is for your phone and your iPad. Siri can pull up photos based on various parameters, so it's kind of like what we talked about with the Spotlight for the Mac. You can say, pull up photos from last October to Siri, and Siri will then pull up all your photos from last October, because maybe you did a trip then. Or pull up all my photos from anyway, things like that. Unknown call suggestions. This was really interesting. So you're getting a phone call, like I just got one before you guys showed up. Of course, I wouldn't have had it. But as the phone call is coming in, Siri will search your emails and see if that phone number has ever showed up. And then, so it'll still say just the person's phone number. you know, 360-480-2179, but then underneath it'll say possibly, and then list the person's name. So it's just trying to help you. So in case you don't recognize, yeah. It's a Siri thing, but it's not something that you have to, no, this is all coming out in the fall. These are all previews of what's going to happen in the fall. So she'll suggest, she won't say anything, it'll just automatically appear. She'll suggest, you know, this could possibly be, the person they always use is John Appleseed. Johnny Appleseed is their fake person they always use for their demos. So it could say possibly John Appleseed. But I mean, if I had a, you know, we're ordering a lighting board for the church, and in my emails from that company, you know, it's got their name and their phone number at the bottom, automatically included. And so if they called my cell phone with iOS 9, Siri would search and find that and say it's possibly, and then list either the person's name or the name of the company. And then instead of maybe ignoring the phone call, I'd answer it knowing that they're calling me about the church's lighting board.
Right.
So,
wow,
kind of cool.
Yeah,
Apple.
It really gives you, you're prepared.
Yeah, yeah, you're more prepared. Or if, you know, or I mean, say your insurance company. You know, you might not have your insurance agent's contact info in your contacts, but you've got emails and things from that person. And so it may say that, you know, John Smith is now calling you, and you go, oh yeah, John Smith's my insurance agent. And so then you answer the phone, because you don't always talk to him. You don't necessarily have him in your contact list, but Siri now is making that suggestion. It might be this person. You go, I should probably take this. So updates to Apple Pay, nothing really that exciting, nothing that I think any of us really use. Nothing, I've never used Apple Pay.
What is Apple Pay?
It's turning, instead of having a physical wallet, it's turning, and you have to have the iPhone 6. Yeah.
And then it just.
No, you can have the 5S. You just have to have the Touch ID. So it could be the 5S or the 6, but the 5.
What is the Touch ID?
It's the fingerprint scanner for your phone to unlock your phone. Or maybe it has to be the 6.
Yeah, because I don't have that on my 5.
No, the 5 wouldn't have it. So anyway, they made some updates to it. Nothing super exciting. Notes. How many of you guys use Notes? Use the little Notes app? They've done a huge update to the Notes app. You can now make like real lists. Like Beck and I use it all the time to make shopping lists. But there's no way to actually turn it into an actual list. And now you can. So it has like the little dots, kind of like what I've got here. And you can even, I think you can even tap on them if you've done it. And so it'll basically check it off that you've done that kind of thing. Yeah. You can insert pictures now into the Notes program. You can draw. It's now a little drawing tool. So if you've got, you know, you're writing something and then you want to draw a picture to remind yourself, or if you want to draw a little sketch of something, so that when you bring it into a shop or a store or something, you've got a little, either a picture or a sketch of what you need for your own reference, or to show the person in the store, or for whatever reason. And then if you're in Safari, you know, you're on Safari and you're doing a Google search, and you pull up a website and you find an image, or that website is something that you want to put in your notes, there's a little link right in the Safari browser that lets you insert that into a note. So,
You know, thinking of browsers, my daughter put in and recommended that I use Firefox versus, I guess, the other browsers.
yep.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's, you know, it's really personal preference. On my PC, I use Google Chrome because I don't like Internet Explorer, but I may use the new one that they come out with when they come out with Windows 10. And then for the the Mac and my iOS, my phone and my iPad, I just use Safari on those. But yeah, I just use Safari on my Mac at home. I haven't downloaded Google Chrome. So, but it really is a personal preference. Each one has a little different style, a little different experience. And so it really just depends on the experience you're looking for. And I don't use, I use my Mac at home a lot, but I don't use it quite as to the degree that I use my laptop, because I use this as my work computer also. And so that pinning tabs that we talked about earlier was never really something that was important on my Mac at home. So I've not downloaded Google Chrome. So again, yeah, I mean, you can download, and I've done that before. I've downloaded all of them and played with them, and I've re-downloaded Mozilla Firefox before just to see if they've come out with anything new. And so with my PC, I stick with Chrome, and with my Mac products, I have just stuck with Safari. They're good enough. And I don't use them to the full extent that you possibly could, whereas other people might. Like Google Chrome and Mozilla Firefox allow for extensions. So like that Web of Trust thing that we've talked about that lets you know if websites are safe or not. It allows for those kinds of extensions, and so that is something nice, especially for a PC that's more vulnerable. So those kinds of things are available, and you can use those extensions on a Mac also. But I don't think Mac will do that, and if they do, it may not be for a while, because one of the things, the big difference between Google and Apple is Google wants to know everything. And Apple, I don't want to say wants to know nothing, but they are way more interested in your privacy and your anonymity than Google is. So, which is why, I mean, even with all the new updates to Siri and Spotlight and all these things, they're still saying your information is your information. It stays on your phone, it stays on your Mac, it stays on your iPad. And if it doesn't, then it's completely anonymized.
Google and Google Chrome, they're the same, are they not?
Yeah. Well, Google's the corporation. Google does the web browser. They do Google Docs. They do Gmail. They do the search engine. They do.
But Google Chrome is then their web browser.
Yeah, they're the ones who have the operating system for. That's what Android. Android is produced by Google, the operating system for phones and tablets, and now watches. Google's everywhere now. They've got a music service. They've got a book service. I mean, basically anything you see that Apple makes, Google has a counterpart to it. But Apple's always very cautious, whereas Google's very ambitious. They're the ones that Google started scanning books without even asking permission or anything from publishing companies, and they got sued for it. But they wanted to make books available to everyone, so they just started scanning books. Things like that. So they kind of pushed the bucket. Maps now has public transit routes. So if you go somewhere with will have. Sorry, this is all future. When iOS 9 comes out in the fall, they will have public transportation routes. So if you ride the bus, or if you take the subway, or a train, or different things like that, they'll now have the routes for that. And also, if you click on a station, it looked like if you clicked on a station in the app, it'll let you know what the next coming departures are and where to. And I was doing other things also, but I think you can even buy tickets right within the app program, or take you to the app that'll let you buy tickets.
Especially if you're in the other city. Like
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Washington, DC.
we always, I look at this stuff
Wow.
and I say it's really cool. It's not as applicable to us in a small town, but exactly, people in DC, people in New York, LA, San Francisco, Chicago. I mean,
So what if I'm in London? Would it have that?
it's going to be rolling out for, they have different things for different regions, and so I'm trying to remember, but I think they said it was for the US, UK, and Australia is when, or maybe that was for a different one. Might be for this news app, but they'll roll it out for different countries. So yeah, if you go to the UK, they might have all of that stuff updated for the UK.
You know, I have an app on here that I think is called Maps.
Mhm.
Is that an Apple product, I guess?
Yeah, well, there's also third-party ones, like there's Google Maps, and there's then there's like real GPS navigators, like I have Magellan Roadmate on mine that I paid for.
How do I know which one this is under Google, under Maps?
Let's see.
It's got an icon.
It says Maps, and it's got Interstate 280 on it.
Yeah,
On the
that's what I
icon.
got.
Yep, that's the Apple Maps app. So now they're coming out with their, I don't know if any of you have downloaded news applications. I think we've talked about them before. Like I use Flipboard is the one that I use. And basically it aggregates news, meaning it pulls news from all different kinds of sources.
So is this something I can currently use? Or?
Yeah. Well, not the news, not the one that Apple's making, but Flipboard you can. Flipboard's an app that's out right now. I've been using it for
So that's for
years.
news application?
Yeah, so basically, when you open up the app, it asks you, or it gives you things, topics that you're interested in. So top news, world news, science, fashion, cooking, outdoors, things like that. And you can do that. And then it also asks you about maybe specific publishers you're interested, the New York Times.
So which is the one you're using now?
Flipboard.
Flipboard.
And so now Apple is creating, this fall, you'll be able to or it'll come with it probably, mandatory. It's going to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Flipboard. It's an app you
Flip.
can now click or flip.
Flip, as
L-I-P?
in like doing a backflip.
And,
So that's not.
That is currently, it's not an Apple product, no. The news app that comes this fall with iOS 9 will do the exact same thing.
so that app is gonna give me news?
Yes, from multiple sources based on topics you tell it you're interested in. And that's what the new Apple News app will do also. Basically, you pull up the app for the first time, it'll give you a list of, again, like The Guardian or the New York Times, the LA Times, the big boys, and magazines also, and ask which ones you're interested in. Then ask about topics you're interested in, health, gardening, etc. And you just click which ones you're interested in, and then click go, and it'll create a personalized list of news articles for you to flip through.
Wow, that is really cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep. So, for example, when the conflict in Crimea was raging, I created a Flipboard for Crimea, and so anything related to Crimea, I could just click on that little icon in my Flipboard app, and it would pull up all the latest stories that anyone wrote on Crimea.
Okay, so.
And again, I apologize for not having my adapter, because then I could just show you.
Okay, so you go in and, okay, so it's not like news items that are.
So this is loading it, and this is just the this is the front page of it right now with the top story that it, and then you can just flip through.
Oh.
different articles. And then you can click here, and this shows my topics. So
Okay,
news,
so then you-
technology,
Okay.
photography, film, gaming, world. You can even link your Facebook account to it, so it'll show your Facebook, religion, spirituality, Christianity, parenting. And so then you click on that. So click on parenting, and it'll only show you topics on parenting and the latest stuff. And you can even search. So even if there's something you're not finding what you're looking for, you can then just search for it. So if there's something that you heard about on, like, while watching the news or something, or someone tells you about it and it's not showing up in your Flipboard, there's still a search icon, and you can type in, the Ghana flood, and go look and find out what's going on with the flood in Ghana.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is-
So you can do that with Flipboard right now, and you can either keep it or switch. But Apple will come out with their very own news app, and they're working directly with the publishers, so that everything that not everything, but they're trying to get them to use the news app formatting, so that when you open it up, it's going to look beautiful and rich and like it was built just for it, because it is. But it'll even pull in stuff that wasn't built specifically for the news app. And it's that same scrolling feature, and then you flip, instead of flipping up and down, you flip left and right to switch between articles. And if you're reading something that isn't necessarily a topic that you've previously said you're interested in, there's a little button that you can just click, and it tells you it's now one of your favorite topics. And then you can always unfavorite it. So like the Crimean conflict, in a way, has resolved, and so I don't have that on my boards anymore. Or the news app that Apple's going to do, same thing. You can delete a favorite if you want later on. So yeah, it's really cool. It's really helpful. And the really nice thing is it still follows, like the New York Times, you're only allowed to read 3 articles a day from them if you're not subscribed. And these, like Flipboards, not that they could get around it, but they don't. And so if you read 3 articles from the New York Times and you try to read a 4th through Flipboard, it'll say you've reached your daily limit. And so you can't read one unless you subscribe to them. So
again, I have to download that app. It's not.
Yep. Yeah.
I can put it in my Apple.
Yep. You can put it on your phone or your iPad. I've got it on both. Yep.
And then I can program in the news that I want.
Yeah. It'll give you can either pick the general topics they want, or if you don't want to get super specific, you can do a little search, and it can come up with a little topic, and you click on that, and then you favorite it, and it'll start showing you info about that specific topic. Yep. They're really cool. They're really nice. And that way you get the news that you're interested
Did
in.
you download it, Sandy?
No, I haven't yet.
Yeah, it's really great. I think it was when 2 years ago, year and a half ago, Becca's cousins came up for a visit, and I showed her cousin, her second cousin, whatever you call them. I'm terrible with how you're related to other people. But anyway, I showed him Flipboard, and he texted me like a month after their visit, and he said, "I can't believe I lived without Flipboard. This is like the greatest thing ever." Because it really does. It brings you what you're interested in. And you can still do things like top news, and so that you don't miss.
Is it one word or 2?
One word, Flipboard.
Yeah.
So anyway, Apple's going to come out with their own thing for that. And so that's that's specific to iOS 9. And then they had some very specific iPad updates.
I thought I'd try it while we're sitting here. I put
Sure.
Flipboard in that little search, and it says your search has no result.
Well, that's on the Mac, though. It's only for your phone or your iPad.
Oh.
I don't think they have one for the Mac, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's on my iPad.
Yeah, the Mac App Store is separate from the iPhone and iPad App Store. Just like if you get an Apple Watch, which they're discussing right now, its App Store is completely different. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's some crossover, but anyway, they're different stores. Just like there's some apps that only come out on the iPad or some that only come out on the iPhone. So in a way, they're similar stores, but they're different. But the Mac one is definitely separate from your phone and your iPad. You can still use the same gift cards and things like that, but as far as applications, so you could probably type in news aggregator and see if something pops up, Bob.
News aggregator?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's the word that you're supposed to use. Bringing on, I could be using this word wrong, but I think that's the right word you want to use. AGGREGATOR. The iPad. Now these things came out specific to the iPad. Your keyboard will get a major update. Right above your keyboard, when you pull up your keyboard to type stuff, you'll now have automatic shortcuts to copy, cut, paste. You don't have to like hold down on the screen and have that pop up. It'll automatically be copy, cut, paste, bold, underline, italicize. It'll automatically have a button to attach a photo or to attach a file.
Oh,
Right, right above the keyboard where it has those suggested words that maybe you want to type next. On either side of those, it'll now have all of those shortcuts on there.
Now, I did that, and I got three that came up. One is headline news, they want $2 for that. Another one they want $2 for, but it's only got 1 star on the rating. The first one is luck news. It says in-app purchases.
Meaning that the base application is free, but more advanced features you have to pay for. So typically later down in the description, I'll tell you what exactly the in-app purchases mean. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
when is iOS 9 coming out?
This fall.
Okay.
They don't. It's typically end of September has been their pattern. So unless something happens to the new iPhone, it's going to come out this fall or end of September, because they've been on that pattern for quite a while. So unless some kind of production hiccup happens, and it's typically a week before the phone gets released.
So now it says top in-app purchases.
Yep.
Capacity unlimited, they want $2 for.
Yep.
Capacity to 20 subscriptions, $1. And then capacity upgrade, $1. So apparently what they're charging for that is more capacity.
Yep.
To save or to view or?
I'd have to fiddle with the app, unfortunately. But we can take a look in a minute at possible apps for that, or maybe even web pages that do the same thing.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Topic.
Yeah, there's lots of options.
Yeah.
The keypad or the keyboard on the iPad can now also be a trackpad. So if you touch and hold where the keyboard is, the keys kind of fade out and disappear, and then you can use it as a trackpad to move around the screen and do stuff. Like on my laptop right here, I've got the little trackpad, so it'll turn into that.
Back up a little bit.
Yep.
I don't know what a trackpad is.
That's exactly what you're using on your Mac to move your mouse and things.
Oh, okay.
That's a trackpad. So on the iPad, if you hold down over the keyboard, the keyboard will disappear and it'll turn into a trackpad. So you can scroll up and down.
But only on the iPad.
Yeah. These are a few things that they released specifically for the iPad coming out in iOS 9. Is this shortcut bar. Also for shortcuts for attached keyboards. So if you attach a keyboard like this one that I have, those shortcuts that we talked about right here don't go away. They'll just be, some of them will be on the bottom of the screen and some of them will be on the top of the screen because it knows you've attached them. And so it'll still keep those there to help you out.
You know, if I could get an external plug-in device
Mouse?
on this, no, that would have a 10-key keyboard on it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because for me, it's really, I'm used to a 10-key adding machine keyboard, for
Yep.
example. And to try to enter numerical data,
Becca was the
slow process.
Becca was the same way because when we bought our Mac, and I know they go with simple.
So this is something I just plug in and
via USB. Yeah. Let's see. So the one that comes with a Mac, any Mac, well, obviously not a MacBook, is this one right here. And it's super small.
But that's a conventional.
Well, yeah, but I'm just letting you know this is what came with our Mac. So then we paid $79. Wasn't this one, but we bought an upgraded one that came with the keypad.
Computer?
Yeah, but you can, let's see where it is. There you go, right there, Bob.
What do they want that?
This is by Belkin, and it's $50. Let's see.
Think I can get that at Wally World or anything?
Probably, or you might be able to go, or Amazon, or see if there's any other ones that are just the. I don't see it. Interesting. But yeah, you can always buy. I mean, you can get these for PC too. It's just a little numeric keyboard. So they're. Excuse me. Yeah, they're easy to get, and they're built specifically for laptops. Mine doesn't have one.
What I have to make sure is for my MacBook Pro.
I don't think so.
It just plugs into USB port.
Yeah. It might be. You may want to check, or ask the guys, but it shouldn't have to be specifically for a Mac because that portion should work the same. I say should, but it might be
Just
helpful.
make sure.
Yep. And then for the for the iPad, again in the fall when iOS 9 comes out, so you can already kind of multitask where you can have things running in the background and you can easily switch between apps with that four finger swipe. Now, and I didn't watch all of it because it was while I was setting up the room and such, but it looks like excuse me, still getting over my cold. Now it looks like you can do two things at once. And one of the examples they showed is you could be reading your email and have a video playing in the corner of your screen. Or, because videos, you can play music in the background when you're doing other stuff, but you can't play videos. You can't have, for example, like Safari and your email pulled up at the same time. And I don't know if it went that far because I didn't see all of what they showed, but you can now do at least two things at once on the iPad, which is really, really cool. It's really nice. And they've kind of updated the way that you know, how they change things so that there are those little preview windows that you swipe back and forth from. Now they've got them kind of overlapping. Instead of completely separate, they overlap a little bit, so it's easier and faster to swipe between them and to see what's coming up so you can get to your other apps faster.
Which iPad do you have?
I have the iPad Air 1. So the iPad Air 2, I believe, is the newest one out. And then in the fall, they'll come out with the iPad Air 3 or whatever they decide to call it. So So that's what I learned so far
Wow.
until class started.
Positive.
Yeah, and then there was lots of updates to the Apple Watch, which were happening while we were talking. And now they're discussing music. They're going to do a major overhaul of their music system.
I heard a statement in passing about that.
Yeah. They bought Beats by Dr. Dre, music service, and they didn't really do a whole lot with it. It was kind of weird because they already had the iTunes radio. So I think they've been working hard the last year to really make one unified music service. So we'll see. And there's also iOS 8.4 is coming out, and the biggest change to it is going to be an update to your music app. So we'll see how that works out for them and what they decide to do with that. So
that search was news applicators.
aggregators.
Say that again?
Oh, look at that. They have a web app, Bob.
The news aggregators?
Aggregator. Yep. Yeah, aggregator to bring together to collect. But here's right here, Bob. It says Flipboard brings its gorgeous magazine app to the web. Flipboard.com. And you do, I don't know if you have to. I don't think you have to, but you can create a Flipboard account when you download and do all that stuff. And it does it so that my iPad and my iPhone are synced together.
Yeah, I'm not quite with you. Can I go to the flipboard.com and accomplish the same thing that I could on the app?
Yes, that's what that news article just said. So here it is. I don't think it's loaded 100%. Maybe it has. Doesn't look like it has. There we go. And I mean, excuse me. Again, if it's something you're comfortable with, you can create an account just by using your Facebook account, your Twitter account, or your Google account. Why aren't you working? That's not working, but so anyway, you could create an account. Looks like you could accomplish the same thing. And I don't want to create. I just want to log in using my Facebook account because that's what I did before, but it's not letting me. So, but yeah, you should be able to go to flipboard.com, Bob, create an account, and then it'll work.
Pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same. Obviously, it'll be a little different because it's for the web. And it's not quite touchscreen. Nope. They make their money off advertising, meaning you'll get ads every so often when you're using it. So, yeah, it's a.
What's wrong?
I thought I saw somebody moving in the parking lot, the car's parked over there, and I've got the windows partially down. Nobody's out there. Any comments on the big hack job of the
Federal government?
Yeah, wow.
On the big what?
4 million employees of the federal government's personal information was hacked by what the government believes were Chinese government hackers.
So they have information on 4 million government employees.
Federal government employees.
That would be name, social security number, what other kind of information?
Address, telephone number.
Maybe their position, base salary.
Possibly.
Job description,
Yeah. Yep. 4 million. Yep.
And
So they need to do, I mean, they've known, people have told them that their security systems, their software, their firewalls, their, all of that stuff is not up to date.
was that?
But most people aren't. I mean,
A particular agency that they?
I haven't paid that close.
Yeah.
Particular government agencies?
Yes, it's the main one that handles personnel. They, it's kind of like HR of the federal government.
Somehow that doesn't come as a surprise.
So, yeah, and they initially, I think they are still at the stance that they are pretty sure the Chinese government was behind it.
The government itself?
Yeah.
For what purpose?
Well, you get personal information. You could potentially find out where these people are living, where, you know, I mean, there's all kinds of secret information that governments don't want each other to know, and it's all at the federal level. And so maybe they were hoping to glean some information. You know, you always watch, I immediately think of those, like the Mission Impossible movies, and, you know, that whatever that list is, you know, you get that list and you find out all the real names of all these people and where they are across the globe doing what missions no one's supposed to know they're doing. That's probably way overboard, but they may want some information similar to that. Where do we have people stationed? Yeah, and the government's not going to admit whose information was stolen publicly or what kind of breach was. You know, Sony I think we talked about this, Sony got hacked big time. And unfortunately, in their minds, at least in Sony's mind, this is the popular belief, is that it was cheaper to pay for a year or two of identity theft protection than it would be to upgrade their security and software and firewalls and such, and hire better people to be up to have state-of-the-art protection. It's much cheaper to just pay if it happens. Oh,
We're excited.
Yep.
I mean, it's happening again.
So they're an outside vendor for protection?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe the government, I don't know what they're thinking. So they're the government, they won't tell us. So yeah, I mean, the IRS got hacked and 500,000 people's tax returns were compromised, or tax return information was compromised, which means that next year you could potentially have 500,000 fraudulent returns being filed, which is, you know, it's the nice thing about online is it's convenient and it's right there, and there's no paper, you know, not rooms and rooms and rooms full of paperwork, but you are now subject to hackers. Yep.
I've got an easy question. Complete change of subject.
Okay.
Okay, this goes back to reminders and the notes. I
Yes.
use reminders. Oh, the reminder app all the time. It's,
In your phone or your?
well, it's on the phone and the iPad.
Yeah, it syncs together. Yeah.
It's fantastic. Because I wasn't, and notes I use for, like if I'm reading something and I want to, like I've got one for special Bible verses, or I'm reading a book and, on my Kindle, memoirs of Ulysses S. Grant, if something strikes me, I'll put something in here, or Civil War notes. I use it more like a
You know, I've never.
highlighter, I guess.
Mhm.
I've never used reminders.
But I would like to know, how do you list, how do you use that program?
Reminders or notes? Notes,
Yeah.
primarily grocery shopping.
See, I use that for notes. Okay, so why would you use notes instead of reminders?
For grocery shopping?
Uh,
Because you can, I can check, but I don't know if you can share reminders. You can share notes. I can just airdrop a note to Becca and she airdrops it to me. And then we both have it.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. I don't know where, where is my reminders app? Oh, it's right there. Yeah, see, I don't think I can share my reminders with anybody. Oh, wait, hold on.
It's a great toolbar, Bob, reminders.
Sharing. Oh, I can add a person. I mean, yeah, I didn't know that, but that's different. Kind of.
When I go to my reminders, I get I don't know how this came in, it says new list, who time, UOOTINE. Wonder how that got there.
I have no idea. For reminders, like I have reminders to take my vitamins in the morning and at night at a specific time. So every 9:30 o'clock at night, it reminds me to take my fish oil. In the morning, it reminds me to take my multivitamin and my vitamin D.
But you have to go into it to see reminder, or
No.
does it remind you hear something that?
So with reminders, there's two ways. There's three things you can do. You can just create a reminder with no parameters. That's option one. Option two, you can create a reminder. I guess there's multiple. So you can create a reminder, forget 1, 2, and 3. So you can create one with no parameters. Two, you can create one, for example, the Scaries had free vegetable plants out a couple weeks ago in the narthex, and they sent the rest of them home with me that people didn't walk away with. Mark Kremen came to me and said, if you don't use all of those, I'd like them more than what I took, because he didn't want to take a bunch if people were going to. So I told Mark that I'd bring them by his house one day. And so I put a reminder on my phone and said, remind me on Wednesday at 8 a.m. to bring the plants. And so a little pop-up, because it was a specific time and day, it pulled up a pop-up that said, bring plants to church. So I brought them to church, drove them down to Mark's house. So that was a one-time event. Just remind me that. Then I have my medicine one, which is remind me every day at 9:30 at night or at 8 in the morning to do this. So it's a recurring reminder, and those pop up also. And then the last option is a geographical reminder. So remind me to pick up dinner on my way home. And then you would put they call it a fence, geographical fence. So then you would put in the reminder, part of the options is when I leave 1212 Connection Street. And so using GPS, it now, as I'm driving away from church, it knows that I've left 1212 Connection Street, and it'll then pop up the reminder saying, pick up dinner. And so it'll buzz and I'll see that, and then I'll just go and stop by Freddy's and pick up something from the deli.
Is that newer phone than what I have before? Or
No.
How do you?
So, oops, I don't want a new list. I don't want a new list. So you go into reminders. Oh yeah, there's bring plant to church. I never clicked complete. So you'd start a new one. So we can do this together.
So we're starting a new list?
No, just a new reminder, not an entire list.
So I go to new list and go to reminders.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So then we would type pick up dinner.
Whatever it is. At the top, right? I mean, that's what we're doing.
Just click on the reminders tab. There should be one by default called reminders. Yeah, and then under one of those blank lines, see how it's got different lines? Just it brings up a top one, and then you should be able to. Let's see here. Oh, they're all those are all your lists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are all my
So you
lists.
just tap on one.
Oh, okay.
But there should be, unless you delete it, there should be just a general reminders one. But maybe you got rid of it, in which case you can just create a new one.
Oh, okay.
Add
So, oh,
list.
just add list and
Yeah.
put reminders?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I've got work reminders. Like I said, I've got my medicine reminders. So pick up dinner. And then if I were to just hit done, then it's just a general reminder. There's no specificity about it at all.
Okay.
So that, yeah. So then you just click done.
Okay.
And then you click just on the blank line to add a new reminder.
Okay.
And so we'll type pick up dinner.
Okay.
And then if we just click done there, we'd be done. But there would be, it wouldn't actually, it wouldn't remind you to do anything if we were to just hit enter. But you hit the little I for information.
Oh, okay.
Remind me on a day.
Okay.
So that would be day.
Okay.
But I think it's because it's your iPad, it won't let you do location. But on your phone, you can do remind me at a location.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have.
And so remind me at a location, current location.
Let me go do it on my phone.
Here, well, let's stop the stream. Sorry, guys, if you're interested in this.